Hey guys, it's Will at Third and Long. Today we are going to be breaking down the Week 9 AP Poll Top 25, who went up, who went down, and if they are, where they should be. So hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get started. So coming in at number 1, so we'll be counting from 1 to 25, we have the Georgia Bulldogs, who were coming off of a bye week this past week. They did get 38 first place votes. They are 7-0, and they will be playing the Gators this coming weekend. So I'm perfectly fine with them staying number 1. However, the teams behind them are really starting to make a lot of noise for that number 1 spot, especially the team that comes in at number 2. So Michigan Wolverines, 19 first place votes. They are 8-0. They came off of a drubbing of the Michigan State Spartans, literally beating the crap out of them 49-0. They looked really good. They have the best defense in the country right now, and their offense is very good. Very physical team on both lines. This right now, at this point of the season, looks like the number 1 team. I don't know why they're not number 1 as of right now. Yes, they haven't played anyone yet, but they will play Penn State. They will play Ohio State. So they have those games coming up, but they've looked like the most complete team so far at this point of the year. So I would have been fine with Michigan actually being number 1 this week, because Georgia hasn't played anyone either, and they don't look as well-rounded as Michigan so far. Now, coming in at number 3, we have Ohio State. So they did go up. They are in the number 3 spot, 7-0. They beat Penn State in a very physical game, very 1980s style of football. Their defense is legit this year. The biggest question, though, Kyle McCord does not look any better. So we're going into week 9, and he still doesn't look like a complete quarterback. The guy's a statue back there. The line's not very good. He's not mobile. Marvin Harrison Jr. basically won that game this past Saturday. They did not win because of Kyle McCord. Now, Ohio State has been able to out-physical teams. They have the best resume, actually, so far. So they are making the case to be the number 1 team. They beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame, and they beat Penn State. That's 2 top 15 wins right now. No one else can say that, but why aren't they number 1? Because if we were all betting on them playing any of these top 6 teams, everybody would probably pick not Ohio State. So that's why they're not number 1, because no one's buying the offense, even though their offensive roster is legit. The problem is Kyle McCord. That's the reason that they're not number 1. But I'm fine with them being number 3 right now, because like I said, they have the best resume so far. Coming in at number 4, we have FSU, the Florida State Seminoles. They got 3 first-place votes, just like the Buckeyes got 3 first-place votes. Who watches Florida State and says, that's the number 1 team right there? Now, they have a really good win versus LSU, which that continues to look good as they continue to win. But outside of that, they've been very flip-floppy. They did beat Duke, but Riley Leonard could not run at all. So he was still hobbled up. He was still hurt. This is a very good Florida State team, but in no way are they the number 1 team. Now, they do deserve to be number 4. They have played well. It's just, don't forget that Boston College game. They've been very flip-floppy, playing good, playing crappy, not really being consistent at all. And their defense, to me, hasn't looked the best so far, but it's a very talented team. Very talented roster. Jordan Travis, though, needs to stay healthy. He seems to be hurt every single week, but I'm fine with them being number 4 as of right now. Washington coming in at number 5. They have one of the best wins, if not the best win of the year so far. So they are 7-0, 0 first-place votes. What was that? So they barely beat Arizona State 15-7. How on earth did that happen? Death, taxes, Michael Penix throwing for 450 yards. None of that happened this past weekend. He did not have a good game at all. He had 0 touchdowns. I don't know what that disaster of a game was, but they got the win. They got through it, and they just need to get back to being consistent. I'm fine with them not dropping after that game because they have a really good win, and no one behind them did anything. So I'm fine with them being number 5. Coming in at number 6, not falling at all, Oklahoma Sooners, coming off of a complete disaster game versus UCF, where they almost practically lost that game. But UCF, they're actually not that bad. They got Plumlee back, So they were like 3-3, but they didn't have Plumlee, and he's a pretty decent quarterback, so that's why they were on a losing streak. They got him back. He played very well. Sooners, Dillon Gabriel, great quarterback. The issue is they have no number one running back. They need to get someone to establish their one. Their leading rusher only has 300 yards, and we're in week 9. That's not okay. That's not going to beat these other teams. You have to be able to run the ball. Dillon Gabriel can't just be scrambling and that's your running game. That's not good enough to play these other teams. They beat Texas, but I don't know if they beat them a second time without a good running game. That's what's holding back the Sooners right now. But I'm fine with them not falling. Why? Because number 7, Texas, moving up one spot. They are 6-1. They barely beat Houston. Houston threw for 400 yards versus Texas. Quinn Ewers did get hurt. He might be out for some games. So Texas has kind of been thrown a little loop here. They have a very good defense. They were in complete control of this game first half. Second half, a complete disaster. But like we said, Quinn Ewers did get knocked out. He is hurt. They still have a really good running game. They have a great wide receiver core, and they have a good defense. So I'm fine with not penalizing them and them being number 7. And they did move up one spot. Coming in at number 8, we have the Oregon Ducks at 6-1. They also moved up one spot. Oregon is a very well-rounded team. They did beat Washington State 38-24. That's a very good win. Cameron Ward for Washington State is a very good quarterback, and they have a pretty decent offense. And they were coming off of that big loss versus Washington. So they rebounded well, and they played a good game. Bo Nix is still in consideration for the Heisman. They just have to win out from this point going forward. They have the whole season in front of them, just like Texas. Just win out from this point forward, get to your conference championship, and you're still in line to get to the playoffs. Coming in at number 9, we have Alabama at 7-1, moving up 2 spots. Bama's been sitting, just going lateral and parallel for like the last 5 weeks. They've been stuck at 11, not moving at all. They finally move up this win. They got a really impressive win versus Tennessee. Going into halftime, they were down 20-7. They completely beat the crap out of Tennessee second half. Completely controlled the game. Defense, offense, passing, running the game. Complete demolition second half. They did get the win 34-20. So they deserve to finally move and get back up into the top 10. And Bama's on the outside right now, starting to creep in, thinking that, hey, if we win out from this point forward, we're back in the playoff conversation. Coming in at number 10, we have Penn State at 6-1. They did fall 3 spots. They had that game versus Ohio State that they lost. Now, with that loss, the problem is Drew Aller, great quarterback, still has yet to throw a pick this year, but they have absolutely no vertical passing game. You must be able to stretch the field versus the Buckeyes, or they're just going to be teeing off on your quarterback. That's what they did. Still, very good team, a extremely top 10 defense, very good defense under Manny Diaz, but they have no vertical threats, just like Notre Dame, and that's why they could not beat them. But we haven't seen Ohio State tested vertically yet. So how good is their defense? Very good, but we just don't know yet. But nonetheless, Penn State, very good season. Definitely losing to the number 3 team, you don't fall out of the top 10 for that. So I'm fine with them being there. Coming in at number 11, we have Oregon State sitting at 6-1, moving up one spot. Oregon State, number 11 in the country. Pretty crazy. Who would have thought? But nonetheless, they did win 10 games last season. So this is a very good team. They have DJU at quarterback. They run the ball well, throw the ball well. I'm fine with them being number 11 right now. Do I think they're going to finish the year there? No. So they still have some losses coming, but they've won so far, so they'll keep moving up. Coming in at number 12, we have Ole Miss at 6-1, also moving up one spot. So they did get a pretty convincing win versus Auburn. They won 28-21. That's pretty much what we thought was going to happen there. So they keep winning. They keep moving up. Is this a just outside of the top 10 team? No. But they have a very good running game with Quinton Junkins. They have a good quarterback with Dart. Lane Kiffin is an offensive guru. So this is still a very good team. And as they continue to do well, that also makes Bama look good because they beat them. So they keep winning. They keep moving up. They'll probably finish the year 10-2 or 9-3, but still a very good season. Coming in at number 13, the team that will not die. They just keep fighting on and winning. Utah, 6-1, moving up one spot, beating USC. I don't know why they didn't move them up more, just because the Trojans have been getting so much talk this year. But nonetheless, Utah is not the number 13 team. I've been saying it all year. I will stick to that story. I have nothing against Kyle Whittingham. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. I love Utah, but they have no offense. That's not going to work in the Pac-12. It will catch up to them at some point. Oregon, Washington. This is a very physical team. They will beat you up at the line of scrimmage. That's why the Trojans keep failing every single time. Kyle Whittingham owns Lincoln Riley. He owns him. But this is not the number 13 team. They're only averaging like 290 offensive yards per game. That's not going to work today. So yes, props to them because this team fights and they keep winning. Cam Rising is not coming back this year. They'll just probably redshirt him and he'll be back next season. But they keep winning, so by default, they are where they should be. They're just not going to finish the year there. But it's nothing against Utah. Very good team. Very well-coached team. Coming in at number 14, we have Notre Dame, who was off this past weekend. They are 6-2, moving up one spot. Notre Dame, when they beat the Trojans, they got back in it. Now, they're not playing for the national championship, but they're playing for respect and to look good. They have two pretty decent losses. They still have the whole season in front of them. They went through the roughest four-game stretch of anyone. 4 straight undefeated teams, and they got through it 2-2. So they are where they should be, and they're just trying to get a New Year's Bowl, basically. Now, coming in at number 15, we have LSU at 6-2, jumping up 4 spots. They beat the brakes off of Army, 62-0. I don't know why Kelly was running the score up on Army. I mean, that's a military school. We should respect them because they were running the score up in the fourth quarter, but whatever, it's fine. Very good win to shut out anyone. That's always impressive. Jaden Daniels is probably the Heisman frontrunner right now. Prior to this game, he was playing as the Heisman frontrunner. It's just they had 2 losses. But with Caleb Williams completely falling off, with Michael Penix having a god-awful game, it's almost like he's the frontrunner now by default. But his stats back it up. If they continue to win out, they still have Bama. If he has a great game versus Bama, he might get the Heisman, and they still could potentially win the SEC West. They only have 1 conference loss, because that loss to Florida State doesn't matter. They just have to beat Bama. Coming in at number 16, Missouri, 7-1, moving up 4 spots. You know, I actually picked the upset this past weekend. I thought that the Gamecocks were going to upset them, and gosh, did that not happen. So you know what? Props to Missouri. They're doing good. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball. Great wide receiver core. Great team. 7-1 Missouri Tigers in Week 9. Props to them. They're the biggest competition in the SEC East right now for Georgia. Can they beat Georgia? I don't think so. But nonetheless, props to them because no one saw them coming this year. So that's pretty cool to see. Coming in at number 17, North Carolina Tar Heels, 6-1, dropping 7 spots. I'm surprised they didn't drop further. So they got just train wrecked by UVA. A 1-5 UVA beat them at home. I don't even know how that happened. Coming off the really strong win versus Miami, they just laid an egg. That's a shame to say for Mac Brown's team with a top 5 draft pick at quarterback with Drake May. They have Tez Walker. He didn't do nothing, basically. So I think they just got caught not paying attention and not taking the game serious after that really strong win versus Miami. So it kind of throws them out of the playoff competition. They were in the top 10, undefeated, looking to play Florida State in the ACC Championship. They might still get to the ACC Championship, but they're definitely not going to make the playoffs now. Coming in at number 18, we have Louisville sitting at 6-1. They moved up 3 spots here. So they had the bye week, so I really don't know why they moved up 3 spots, but nonetheless, they are 6-1. They have a very good defense, a top 20 defense. They have a good offense. Yeah, they had their last game was a loss, but they've been having a very strong season. Coming in at 19, we have Air Force at 7-0. They could potentially run the table, so a group of 5 team could go undefeated. Will they get in the playoffs? No. But nonetheless, They lost Larriere at quarterback. They still performed well versus Navy, got a really hard-fought win. They run the triple option, so they will always drain the clock, and they will always fight teams down to the last second of the game. They are 7-0, so that's pretty cool to see. Coming in at number 20, we have Duke at 5-2, falling 4 spots. They had a close loss versus Florida State. That game was a lot closer than the 30-20 score. They could have won the game. Riley Leonard was banged up, limping, couldn't run. He's not a passing quarterback. He's a mobile running quarterback. They run the ball. They play good defense. They play special teams, and they barely lost that game. So potentially, if he was healthy, they might have won, but could have, should have. He wasn't. Florida State won. But this is a very good 5-2 Duke team. Coming in at 21, we have Tennessee. They should be ashamed of themselves. They are 5-2. They fall 4 spots. They were up 20-7 versus Bama at halftime, and they let the game slip away. They gave Bama an opening, and they didn't score a point the whole second half. They just got curb stomped the whole second half of the game. They fall 4 spots. They could have been 6-1, back-to-back wins versus Bama, but now they're 5-2, pretty close to falling out of the top 25. Coming in at 22, we have Tulane at 6-1, moving up 1 spot. Pratt is having a great year at quarterback. If he stays healthy, they potentially would have beat Ole Miss when they played them, and they'd be undefeated right now. This is a very good 6-1 Tulane game. The next, group of 5 team outside of, looking at James Madison here, SMU, but nonetheless, very good Tulane team and a very good offense. And they're playing pretty decent defense this year. Coming in at 23, we have the UCLA Bruins. So, Chip Kelly's team here. They beat Stanford really good, 42-7. They have Moore at quarterback. He's a true freshman, 5-star. Very good defense this year. Chip Kelly has a very good defensive squad here. This is a tough team. Pac-12, as you see, is just loaded from top to bottom. Hands down, the deepest conference in college football this year. And that's a shame because it's the last year of the conference. But they moved up 2 spots. Pac-12 is all throughout the top 25. The middle, the top, the bottom, lots of Pac-12 teams. Coming in at 24, USC, 6-2, dropping 6 spots. Just what a complete letdown. Now, I said that this was a 2-3 loss team, but God, like a 2-game losing streak. Caleb Williams, he has 3 picks last week. He has 0 touchdowns this week. Completely removed from the Heisman conversation. No more back-to-back Heisman, that's for sure. And what is Lincoln Riley doing? He didn't let his team talk to the press at the end of the game. Defense gets worse every single week. Since game 1 last year, they've gotten worse every single week. Into this year, going through this year, just complete garbage, complete trash. Lincoln Riley, I love Lincoln Riley. What are you doing? Fire Alex Grinch today. Why is he still on staff? This team is weak. They get completely bulldozed on the offensive and the defensive line. The team got better on paper and worse on the field. So it's crazy. They're on the verge of falling out of the top 25, and they haven't played Washington, and they haven't played Oregon. So I don't really know. Coming in at 25, James Madison. Welcome to the top 25. They were unranked. They are 7-0. Props to them. And the ones who fell out, Iowa. I don't care that they got robbed. Iowa had no business being in the top 25. Anyways, Kirk Ferentz is a joke. The fact that he employs his son, Brian Ferentz, as the offensive coordinator still. Hands down the most garbage offensive coordinator. Worst offense in the country by a long shot. If they had just a top 80 offense, they'd win the national championship because their defense is so good. So I don't feel bad for them. I hope they lose every single game as long as he keeps his son at offensive coordinator. The ones just outside of the top 25, Florida, who, come on, they're 5-2. This is not a good team, though. They're going to get beat up by Georgia. And then we have Liberty, Kansas State, and Miami. Miami, potentially, if they win next week, they'll be back in it. But that's my breakdown of the Week 9 AP Poll Top 25. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks.